remember that, guys. I decided this year I'm going to put it back on the road. Now, the problem I had, and the reason why I'm doing this today is because I haven't had a phone call yet regarding the bearings that I need for my steps, so I'm just pottering around. I want to get this garden cleared up. We've got something quite massive happening. Doesn't concern YouTube at all. It's just something's going on in a couple of weeks, which I'm looking forward to, so I need to get that running. It's been sitting there a year and a half, and I kid you not, everything is rotten. Just pressurised the fuel system and pipe blew open. That one's a good pipe. I've just had to replace that, but Jubilee clips are gone, so I'm just sorting that out, charging the power unit up, battery that is. But I'll tell you the reason why I took it off the road is, with or without the turbo, it was pot number one was filling up with oil. Once the oil got warm, she just literally would stall out onto 5 cylinders, and I couldn't for love nor money figure it out. I thought maybe the head's gone. New hoses, tightened up, new clips, new clamps, primed it. It's been here a year and a half, this thing. So shut the charger down because that doesn't like backflow of power, and let's see what this little sucker will do. Pump prime. Oh yes. Oh yes, yes. Don't she sound nice? Right, well, been going through this and doing a bit of reading online, and we do have some issues that need addressing. I was going to make a new flange up for the turbo, but I didn't realise that I welded over the old flange instead of cutting it completely out. So we're going to cut that off, unbolt that completely. We're going to cut that there, so we're left with that. My exhaust clamp will fit that, and the bolts are already there for the turbo, so getting the turbo back on is not going to be an issue at all. You've heard it run. Sounds absolutely gorgeous, apart from a few rattles in the head, but that's low oil, I believe. Blow off pipe temporarily put in an area where there was a hose coming down. We had that hose there, which is the breather for the sump, and I had it plumbed in there by mistake. I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest. These engines are a little complicated at times. Trying to find schematics of how all the air system works, it's just really difficult. So yeah, that is what was causing the oil to get into pot one. So I've temporarily put that on there just because I wanted to block the hole off. That's the only reason for it there. When we go about fitting the turbo, I'm going to renew this pipe, and that blow off valve will go midway into the air system somewhere. There's a ton of pipes going to be around here, so it could find its way there, or it could find its way on this area here. I don't know yet, but we've got to get some pipe work made up for that. You can see the oil blowing out. It's quite a lot of it, so it's not surprising I'm losing oil. I'd like to put a separate oil tank on this if I could for the turbo, using a scavenge pump, but I haven't found anything yet significant. I was going to make an oil catch, but I found them on the internet really cheap, so we don't need to fret over that. So I'll probably grab one of those. And the other thing I need to consider is the blow-off valve itself's got to be plumbed in. There is a lot of speculation on the internet about blow-off valves and keeping the air in the turbo. The air flows once the pressure builds up. This is what I've read. I don't know if there's any truth in it, but I've read it, and it makes sense to me. The noise you get when the air, how can I put it, is a boom, 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 boom noise. You hear it on a lot of turbos, and that's the air passing back through the turbo. That causes damage to the vanes. That's air passing back through the rotor itself, and as the air smashes onto those blades, that's what creates that boom 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 noise. You have an actuator this side that operates a gate that's hidden in here. All of that does, from what I've read up, is an exhaust bypass. So when you take your hand off the throttle or your foot off the throttle, that air that is stored inside the vacuum activates that, and the exhaust passes through that section of the manifold and stops the turbine from spinning, which allows the air to flow back through. That's the theory in it. The blow-off valve, having that inserted into the air system, will allow the air to flow out quicker and will save the turbo. This is not a bearing turbo, it's a friction turbo, or whatever the proper name is. I can't remember off the top of my head without looking it up. There's no ball bearings in there. It is just literally a wet oiled, permanent oil going through, and that's pretty much what this one is. It's a bit big for what I'm using it for, if I'm honest. So yeah, that's the basics of what I plan to do. Now, I would like a scavenge pump on that, but that's finding a pump that can take the heat of the oil, because I'd like to put that through a cooler, a water oil cooler. Oh heck, now I've forgotten the word for that. To hell with it. I'm sure somebody will remind me.